Well, it's a busy time of year for professional sports here in the Northeast with a big focus on the NFL and the NBA preseason. Joining me now to talk about both is my good friend John Schmeelk. John, thanks so much for coming on this morning, my friend. How are you?
Mike, it is a happy morning in the Giants practice facility here in East Rutherford. Happy to be with you.
Indeed it is. So, John, I know you love talking about the Giants. Let's start with them. They were up in the Pacific Northwest taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and they were able to come away with the victory without Devin Singletary and without Malik Neighbors. Instead, they got the job done with Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Darius Slayton. Can you talk about the job they did?
Yeah, look, I think you have to give them a lot of credit. The Giants had their best offensive game of the year, 420 yards of offense without their starting running back in Devin Singletary. Tyrone Tracy steps in, 18 carries, 129 yards, over 7 yards per carry for the rookie, really getting his first opportunity. And explosive, too. He had a 27-yard run, made some big plays, made guys miss, showed his speed and his power. Really good game for the rookie. And then you got to give credit to Darius Slayton. 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. The Theo Johnson, the rookie tight end, he had his best game of the year, 5 catches, 48 yards. And you knew it was going to be tough sledding without Malik Neighbors. Heading into the game, he led the NFL in receptions and targets. He was really the focal point of the Giants' offense for the first 4 weeks. So you got to tip your cap to Daniel Jones, who played a great game, 23 of 34, over 250 yards, a pair of touchdowns, no picks. And the play caller, Brian Dable, for putting together an offensive plan without 2 key starters, their best offensive player, Malik Neighbors, to put a game like this together in a very tough place to play in Seattle. No procedural penalties, no false starts with all the noise out there. Really a phenomenal job by the Giants offense to walk away with a win.
And not only the offense, New York's defense also came to play. Seattle is one of the league leaders in offensive yards per game, but the Giants' defense did a great job keeping the Seahawks at bay.
Yeah, they did. The Seahawks had just 333 yards of total offense in this game. Geno Smith finished with good numbers, 28 of 40, 284 yards, but he never really got going in this game. And it was a complimentary football game. So many times this year, the Giants have good moments on offense, defense, sometimes special teams, but the other side of the ball or another position group will let them down. We talked about the offense. You mentioned the defense. They did a really nice job. Seattle just had 102 rushing yards in the game, and most of that was from the quarterback, Geno Smith. Their running backs had just 7 carries for 30 yards. And then the special teams, they come up with the big play at the end of the game. A great call by special teams coordinator Michael Gabriel. He saw something on tape during the week that the Seahawks protectors on the field goal kick, they go too low to the ground. So they bring Isaiah Simmons in. He vaults over the offensive line, doesn't make contact to avoid the penalty, blocks the potential game-tying field goal. So offense, defense, special teams, all 3 groups chipped in for this win.
Now let's switch over to the Jets, who played the Vikings in London. Not the same outcome for them, unfortunately. They were at least within striking distance all game long, but came up short. What ultimately went wrong for them?
Yeah, the Giants have that really long ride home from Seattle, which is going to be joyous. Well, the Jets have that long ride home from London, and it's always tough coming home from those games with a tough loss like the Jets. And they just had a lot of opportunities in this game. So many times they got the ball back. The Jets defense did their job. Sam Darnold was playing like one of the best quarterbacks in football. He was just 14 of 31, 179 yards. The Jets defense did a really nice job in this game. They solved their run issue problems, but the Jets couldn't run the ball. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen combined just 36 yards on 14 carries. And then the 3 Aaron Rodgers interceptions. That's really a killer in a game like this, where it's close, it goes back and forth. You give up 3 possessions on 3 picks. That's going to be the difference. And the Jets offense just could not get going in this game. And if you're going to turn the ball over 3 times, you're going to have a lot of trouble winning football games, and that's what really plagued the Jets in this game.
And the game was played in London. I actually forgot they were playing Sunday morning. And this is kind of an offbeat question, but how much of a factor could the time zone be in a team's performance?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I think the NFL teams, they've been going to London and Europe for years now. The Giants are going to go and play in Munich in the second week of November. And teams have kind of gotten used to the pattern and the schedule and how you work it so it doesn't affect you as much. And when it comes down to it, the travel time going from East Coast to West Coast is not much different. Depending on which direction you're flying, it could be an even longer flight than when you're going from New York to London. But you're right, the clock change is a little bit more severe. So teams, I feel like they've gotten a handle on that. So it can be challenging. Usually you'll fly in a red eye. You have to rest the day you get there. Then you have one day to kind of walk through and get ready. But I think NFL teams have acclimated themselves to that type of change by now.
And let's switch over to basketball. We'll talk about the Knicks' blockbuster trade. Very simply, how big of a loss is Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, and how big of a gain is Karl Anthony Towns?
Yeah, look, this is not like a home run, no doubter, you have to do a type of trade. The Knicks definitely gave something up to get something here. And I think they gave up a lot of their depth. And this was a sacrifice, a high floor for a higher ceiling type of trade. So the Knicks now are shallow. They only have 2 or 3 reliable bench players. They don't have a lot of depth on the wing without Dante DiVincenzo, so they have injuries. That could hurt them down the road. But they did upgrade from Julius Randle to Karl Anthony Towns. I think Knicks fans give Julius Randle way too much grief. He's a better player than they give him credit for. But Karl Anthony Towns is a better player than Julius Randle. And he felt a dire need for the Knicks at center, where they had a lot of injuries. Mitchell Robinson not due back until December, but probably more likely January or February. So they desperately needed a center, and Karl Anthony Towns provides probably the best shooting from any center in the league, over 40% from 3. So now the Knicks will be able to space the floor, give Jalen Brunson a lot of room to work in the paint. And I think the Knicks should be one of the best offensive teams in the league. They have to figure out Karl Anthony Towns' defense at center, where he has struggled in his career. But they really do match up better now with a team like the Celtics, who's the class of the NBA, and a team the Knicks will have to get by in the Eastern Conference if they can figure things out defensively. I think offensively, with Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, they're going to be one of the toughest teams to guard in the NBA.
So much going on in the world of sports right now. John Schmeelk, thanks for breaking it all down for us.
It's the best month of sports in the year. You got baseball playoffs, hockey, basketball, starring NFL. You can't beat it.
A little bit of everything. Thanks again. Head over to ONNJ.com for the latest news and sports anytime.